did you see Joe Manchin's high heater op-ed in the Wall Street Journal?
Uh-oh.
Oh my God.
Yep. Joe Manchin went for it.
Well, Joe Manchin's running for president.
He is. I think, okay, so let me ask Sacks right there. Sacks, Joe Manchin, Nikki Haley, and who's the guy from Florida?
What's your question?
By the way, there's
DeSantis.
a big defection that was leaked this week. Ron Lauder flipped from Trump to DeSantis. That's a big one because Lauder's good for a lot of money, 5 to 10 million at least.
Joe Manchin, what impact would he have coming into the race? I'm not trolling you. Looking for your honest opinion.
Well, it depends how he comes in. What did he say in the op-ed?
He was talking about the insincerity of the Biden administration to control costs and how everybody was incompetent. And it certainly there's some waste and we can control some spending and everybody needs to grow up and get in a room and just manage the budget for the American people and stop playing politics.
Yeah, I think the headline of the article, actually, to your point, Jacob, was much worse than the substance of the article, Sacks. But if you see the headline, I don't know, Nick, if you can just throw it up there, it was brutal. The headline and the byline of the article, I think, was more damaging than the substance of the article.
Biden's Inflation Reduction Act betrayal. Instead of implementing the law as intended, his administration subverts it for ideological ends.
I have to think that Joe was responsible for that, for the titling of that article.
He would get permission to approve it.
Right.
In a byline
and
like
by
this.
the way, I think if you guys remember, we talked about this when that act was first published. And if you guys remember, I think I pulled up the CBO data, the CBO model, and it showed for the first 5 years, this thing burns $200 billion. And then there's some expectation that there'll be some sudden boom in revenue in the out years. And then you make the money back in the out years. So it's total like accounting shenanigans for him to have made the claim in the first place that the IRA was actually going to be like a net deficit reduction or debt reduction. In fact, it's all just accounting shenanigans and it's just a massive spend package, particularly in the near term when it matters most.
I think I told you guys this, but I think this was like, when was the last time I was in Washington? Probably, what is it, March now? So maybe it was January I was there. And I saw Schumer and Mark Warner, and I spent about 2 hours with Manchin. He is really impressive. He's cool, he's interesting, he's thoughtful, he's moderate. Manchin's like a formidable guy. So this will be really interesting if he steps in there and tries to take on
between Nikki Haley and Manchin, where do you write your check?
I'd probably write a check to both, to be honest.
Feels like a good ticket to me. I've always wanted to see the cross-party
ticket. Could you
ticket.
imagine a Democrat and Republican merging somehow and like running together?
It would be the greatest.
Oh my God.
I've been pitching that for years. I think that's like a clear path.
David Friedberg may have just come up with one of the most disruptive ideas in American politics that's ever been floated. Oh
Manchin,
my God.
Haley. Manchin, Haley? Haley, Manchin.
Keep dreaming.
Manchin, Haley, yeah.
Just my comment on this. So first of all, I remember when, Manchin did a good job stopping Biden's $3.5 trillion Build Back Better. Remember, it was him and Sinema that were the holdouts.
Yep.
But then Manchin compromised and gave Biden a $750 billion version of it. And I guess now he's complaining that Biden didn't live up to his end of the bargain in doing the deficit reduction. But quite frankly, many commentators said at the time that the bill's claims to deficit reduction were preposterous and that would never happen. So quite frankly, Manchin shouldn't have been euchred or hoodwinked by Biden. Everyone was basically saying there'll never be any deficit reduction out of this bill. It's just more spending. So I don't really feel bad for Manchin here saying that somehow he was betrayed by Biden. He should have known better. Now, in terms of him running, yeah, I think as a Democrat who's figured out how to get himself elected in West Virginia, which is a plus 20 red state, he obviously knows how to appeal to the center. The problem for him is just how do you get the Democratic Party nomination? Because he's far to the right of your average Democratic Party voter. If he wants to run as an independent, that's a different story. And that would really throw a curveball into the race. But I don't see him doing that. I think it's kind of a stretch. And this is the problem with a lot of these fantasy candidates is that centrist or moderate voters might like them, but they can't get the nomination of their party. And unless
you mean like Trump and Obama? Those were fantasy candidates.
I don't think so. I mean,
Trump was not a fantasy candidate. He's the ultimate.
Well, he was an outsider, but he appealed to the base of the party. He appealed to the base of the party. What I'm saying is in order to get the nomination of a major party, you have to appeal to its base. And I don't think Manchin appeals to the base of the Democratic Party. He's out of step with it. He's out of step with it in ways that I like. Don't get me wrong. But I don't see how he's going to get a nomination.
Chris Christie, what do you think of him? He seems like he's about to come in the race too, David.
Pointless.
He's viable?
Pointless.
He's just clutter.
Okay.
Pointless.
All right. Listen, everybody. Welcome to the All In podcast. It's like episode 100 something. With me again today, the Rain Man himself. Yeah. David Sacks is here. Friedberg is in his garden at his home in Paris. Spring has sprung, the queen of quinoa, and of course, the dictator himself, Chamath Palihapitiya, the silver fox. Look at that little tuft of silver hair. So distinguished.
I got a haircut from somebody recently who said that people go to her and ask her to put the silver thing in their hair.
Really?
I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you went full
Friedberg
silver.
looks like he's in Smurf Village there. What is that background?
That is a scene from
Oh, okay.
like most of my backgrounds. I think
Oh my
it
God,
reflects
wait.
the mood and the moment of the week. Yeah.
You guys just totally denied half the beta males in the YouTube comments from being able to guess what the background was. Thanks a lot,
You ruined it
Sacks.
for them.
well, he'll
Well,
bleep
actually,
it up.
I did a reverse image search, and then I used a ChatGPT plugin
Thanks a lot,
to
Sacks.
automatically figure out
Oh, I didn't know that was the
Friedberg's
game.
background each week.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
All right, well, let's get started. Come on.
Let's get started. Okay, listen. Look at Sacks. Like, I gotta get out of here. I gotta
The
take a
alpha's
dump.
spoken. The alpha's
Sacks
spoken.
feels like he's in a good mood.